Bought your dream home, but now it feels more like a nightmare? You're not alone. In fact, did you know that 82% of all Americans who purchased a home last year had at least one regret? Let's uncover the surprising reasons behind home buyers' remorse and how to avoid it before your next big move. Let's talk first finances. Most buyers do not anticipate the true cost of home ownership. One common mistake is when you look at your finances. Don't make the mistake of buying a home you cannot afford. Remember, just because a lender says you're approved for a $400,000 home doesn't mean you should buy a $400,000 home. Let's say you're going to purchase a $400,000 home and you have $25,000 for a down payment and you're financing the rest at a 7% mortgage interest rate for the next 30 years. Your principal and interest payment is approximately $2,495. But then you have taxes and insurance. Now I'm in Omaha, Nebraska, and our property taxes are some of the highest in the nation. And why is that? Well, number one, we're an agricultural state. So farm ground is taxed at a much lower rate than property located inside the city of Omaha. And number two is we don't have a large population base. The entire state of Nebraska has just under 2 million people. On top of that, we don't have a lot of money coming in from tourism. So in Nebraska, on a $400,000 home, you're looking at probably $6,000 a year for property taxes. Now for some good news. We do have a great public education system, so close to 50% of those tax dollars goes back into our school system. That means on a $400,000 home, you're looking at $500 a month in property taxes. But wait, there's more. Let's talk about homeowners insurance. Now, Nebraska has some of the highest insurance rates in the nation. And why is that? Well, number one is going to be because of our weather patterns. Omaha, Nebraska gets warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico, and that air mass collides with the cool, dry air coming off the Rockies. So in the springtime and in early summer, this causes frequent thunderstorm activity, which can lead to heavy rains, strong winds, flash flooding, hail, and tornadoes. Just last year, we had an EF4 tornado hit the western part of the city of Omaha in the suburb of Elkhorn. These kind of storms are only going to make insurance rates go higher. Now, for the sake of our example, let's use $300 a month for homeowners insurance. So on that $400,000 home, your PITI, or principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, will be a total of $3,294.88. Let's say you make $100,000 a year and you have no other debt. Your lender might say, based on your debt to income ratio of 40%, you can buy a $400,000 home. Now, on a $100,000 a year income with a 40% debt to income ratio, this means you can spend 40% of your gross income on housing, which means $100,000 multiplied by 40% equals $40,000 a year spent on housing. And if you take $40,000 a year, divide that by 12, that gives you $3,333.33. This means, according to our lender, you can afford a $400,000 home. However, your lender is looking at your gross income and not your net income. In Nebraska, if you make $100,000 a year, your net pay is approximately $72,000 a year, or $6,000 a month. So if you have a house payment of around $3,300 a month, that means 55% of your take-home pay is going towards your house payment. You're left with $2,700, and you still have maintenance, utilities, groceries, gas, car repairs, and entertainment. That's called being house poor. Remember, that's with no other debts. There's no car payments, no student loans, and you're saving nothing for retirement. Guess what? Every year, your payment can increase. Property taxes can go up, and so does homeowners insurance. In fact, if you buy new construction, your property taxes for the first year are typically based on the value of the lot only. That means that next year, your home will be fully assessed and your property taxes will go up substantially. Unfortunately, if you have had some tough breaks or if you haven't managed your money wisely, you're going to delay home ownership. And we see that in the stats. The median age of all home buyers last year was at an all-time high of 56 years old. For first-time home buyers, it was 38. Long story short, don't buy the house of your dreams. Buy the house you can afford. Let's talk about maintenance. Most buyers vastly underestimate the cost of home maintenance. Keeping your home maintained is expensive. When you buy a home, even if it's new construction, the minute that construction is complete, it starts to deteriorate. You have to have funds set aside for replacing windows, furnaces, AC units, decks, water heaters, roofs, and more. Many agents like to say when you rent, you're throwing your money away, but they won't share the positive side of renting. When you rent, the maximum you pay each month for housing is your rent payment. When you buy, your minimum amount paid for housing each month is your payment. You could have a huge maintenance bill on top of your monthly payment. For example, let's say your water heater goes out on your $400,000 home. That's not covered by insurance. And let's say it costs you $2,500 to repair. Your cost for housing that month went up to $5,833 for that month. That's why it's so important to have funds saved up for an emergency. If you don't have enough funds saved up in reserve, trust me, you're going to regret your purchase. Let's talk about inspections. Pay attention to the home inspection. Most buyers gloss over and don't listen to the inspector. For example, the inspector might say the furnace is working fine, but it's 15 years old, so make sure you're budgeting for replacement. The same thing applies to decks, exterior paint, windows, and water heaters. When you buy a home, anything can happen. And let's take and talk about hail damage. When you purchase a home, the insurance company is going to ask you the age of the roof. Let's say the roof is 10 years old. Your insurance company may not cover the cost of full replacement if the roof is older. Your insurance company has a policy called ACV, or actual cost value. So let's say your roof is 10 years old and then a hailstorm damages the roof. Number one, never call your insurance company first. Your first call is to a local reputable roofer. Find out if there's damage, then call your insurance company. If you have ACV coverage, and let's say it costs $15,000 to replace the roof, your insurance company will only give you a portion of, like, say, $4,000, and you're going to have to come up out of pocket for the rest. So that means you have a high insurance premium and you have really poor insurance coverage. If you're buying a home, take the time to understand your policy coverage. Let's go back to the home inspection. Inspections are great, but they're a snapshot in time. It's a visual inspection. Inspectors are human. Inspections are designed to decrease your risk, not eliminate your risk. When you do the home inspection, take advantage of all the tools that are in today's world. For example, I recently had a buyer make an offer on a home in Elkhorn, Nebraska. After the inspection, we uploaded the inspection report to ChatGPT. We asked ChatGPT to review this home inspection report and provide a list of the top 5 most critical repairs, structural or safety related, in order of priority. 2, an estimated cost for each repair, and 3, recommendations on which repairs must be addressed immediately versus those that can wait. And our goal is to assess the potential expenses and urgency of repairs before purchasing this property. Based on the home inspection report, here are the requested details. We told ChatGPT that our goal was to assess the potential expenses and urgency of repairs before purchasing the property. Again, this is just another tool you can use. Don't depend on it, but it might help catch something that you might have missed in the report. Again, nothing is 100% certain or foolproof, but it's another tool that you can use. Also, if you're having reservations about spending money for inspections, then you should really consider if you should be buying a home in the first place. When you make an offer on a home, according to our contract, you have 14 days to conduct any and all inspections. However, anytime you make an offer, the terms are negotiable. Don't be surprised if the sellers come back and say you only have 7 days. If you have any reservations about buying the home, the time to bail is during the inspection period. And that's the one good thing about our contract. If you elect to conduct inspections, the time to bail is during the inspection period. And let me share another really important nugget during the inspection period. During the inspection period, let's say another home pops up that you're like, hey, I really like that home. Go ahead and look at that home because let's say it's a better home. If you're in your inspection period, you can bail on that first home and then pursue that second home. Most buyers don't know that, and most agents would prefer that you don't. Keep all your options open is a great way to avoid buyer's remorse. If you're buying an older home in a neighborhood with mature hardwood trees in the neighborhood, I want you to look at that main plumbing stack. If that stack is made of cast iron and you see a rubber drain out plug, you need to do a sewer scope inspection. A sewer scope inspection costs around $275, but it's the best $275 you'll ever spend. A plumber is going to take a camera and run that down the main sewer line and video the sewer line to the street. The plumber is looking for tree roots, dips, or damage to that main line. On newer homes, the main line is made of PVC, but on older homes, they're made of clay sections. Tree roots are looking for a water source, and they find where those sections come together, and they love that water source. But if you don't do a sewer scope inspection, and you have to replace that main line, you're talking $20,000. Trust me, you're going to regret your purchase. Just about a month ago, I had some buyers interested in a beautiful old home in Fremont, Nebraska, which is just northwest of Omaha. This home was built around 1910 or so, and it looked really neat, and it was really incredible with a lot of beautiful woodwork. My buyers did the sewer scope inspection, and guess what? It was full of tree roots. And on top of that, the neighbor's line tied into that same sewer line. So the line needed to be replaced, and the neighbor's line would have to be retrenched to the street. This would have been about an $18,000 repair, and the neighbor would have been stuck with about an $11,000 repair. My buyers dodged a huge bullet and bailed on the deal. None of this would have been known unless they did a sewer scope inspection. Once the inspection period is done, you're pretty much locked in. Remember, anything in a contract is negotiable. And just because you ask for a 14-day window doesn't mean the seller can't counter with a shorter time frame. Don't get caught up in the emotion of buying a home. You have to be willing to walk away. It's better to walk away instead of having buyer's remorse in the future. Be careful about how cute a home is. You want to look past decor and staging. Be especially careful if you're buying a flipped property. They look great. Chances are there's new carpet, fresh paint, and granite counters. However, look at the roof. Look at the age of the furnace and AC. How old are the windows? What about the deck? If work was done, were permits pulled? Look at the basement. Are there any signs of water intrusion? How does the home smell? Is there a musty smell, or is there too much air freshener being used to cover the musty smell? Look at the foundation. How is the grading around the home? Is the water directed away from the foundation? The next thing buyers regret is the location. Is the home near your work? Is it close to where you like to hang out? We have great commute times, but what if there's 4 inches of snow? Do you own a car that does well in snow? Now, for example, if you work at the med center and you're in the medical industry, you're expected to show up regardless of the weather. If you like a downtown urban lifestyle, then maybe you want to be near the old market. If you want to be out west in the suburbs, then maybe Gretna, Papillion, or Elkhorn might be a better fit. You might not have kids at the moment, but what if that's in your future? You might want to be in a certain school district. Are you in your 60s? It might be better to have a ranch instead of a multi-level. You want to look carefully at the neighborhood. Are there junky cars out in front of the homes? Are the yards clean and well kept? Do the surrounding homes look well maintained? Or is it July and the Christmas lights are still up? What about the noise level? Do the neighbors have barking dogs? Can you hear noise from any of the busy streets? Have you driven by the home at night? Is the home on a busy street? Is it on a side street where it might not get plowed for several days? What direction does the home face? Southern exposure is going to melt the snow faster. Or is the home on a hill? Are there any sex offenders in the area? Have you checked the sex offender registry? In Nebraska, you can visit sor.nebraska.gov and search by location or zip code. Let's talk about the emotional toll home buying can take. Buying a home is a roller coaster of emotions. It can be exciting. It can be frustrating. One moment you're told it's okay to take your time. The next day you might have to be in a hurry because you could be in a multiple offer situation. In the years of the pandemic, buyers were forced to make tough decisions, like waiving the inspection or waiving the appraisal. Some buyers made offer after offer after offer on great homes only to lose to another buyer who was willing to go all in and not have any contingencies. Some buyers made 7 or 8 offers before getting an offer accepted. I had one buyer who just simply, I think, got tired of looking. She finally made an offer, bought the home, and then she wanted to sell it a year later. Sometimes buying a home can wear a person down. Buying a home is not like it is on HGTV. It's okay to take a step back and take a break. I've had buyers who had to take a break for a few months and then come back into the market. If you're moving to Omaha, I highly suggest moving here first. Maybe rent for a year, learn the city, find out where you like to hang out, and then look for a home. And it's okay to take your time. It's better to take your time instead of buying a home you're going to regret.